Western Kosi Canal project in Mithilanchal. Financial support will be provided for the Western Kosi Canal ERM project, benefiting a large number of farmers cultivating over 50,000 hectares of land in the Mithilanchal region of Bihar. Mining sector reforms. Mining sector reforms, including those for minor minerals, will be encouraged through sharing of best practices and institutions of a state mining index. A policy for recovery of critical minerals from tailings will be brought out. Under the special window for affordable and mid-income housing, SWAMI, 50,000 dwelling units in stressed housing projects have been completed and keys handed over to home buyers. Another 40,000 units will be completed in 2025, further helping middle-class families who were paying EMIs on loans taken for apartments while also paying rent for their current dwellings. Building on this success, SWAMI Fund 2 will be established as a blended finance facility with contribution from the government, banks and private investors. This fund of 15,000 crore rupees will aim for expeditious completion of another 1 lakh units. PM Gati Shakti data for private sector. For furthering PPPs and assisting the private sector in project planning, access to relevant data and maps from the PM Gati Shakti portal will be provided. Tourism for employment-led growth. Top 50 tourist destination sites in the country will be developed in partnership with states through a challenge mode. Land for building key infrastructure will have to be provided by the states. Hotels in these destinations will be included in the infrastructure harmonized list. The following measures will be taken for facilitating employment-led growth. Organizing intensive skill development programs for our youth, including in institutes of hospitality management. Providing mudra loans for homestays. Improving ease of travel and connectivity to tourist destinations. Providing performance-linked incentives to states for effective destination management, including tourist amenities, cleanliness, and marketing efforts. And introducing streamlined e-visa facilities along with visa fee waivers for certain tourist groups. Continuing with the emphasis on places of spiritual and religious significance in the July budget, there will be a special focus on destinations related to the life and times of Lord Buddha. Medical tourism and heal in India. Medical tourism and heal in India will be promoted in partnership with the private sector along with capacity building and easier visa norms. Investing in innovation. To implement private sector-driven research, development and innovation initiatives announced in the July budget, I am now allocating 20,000 crore rupees for this purpose. A deep tech fund of funds will also be explored to catalyze the next generation startups as a part of this initiative. In the next 5 years, under the PM Research Fellowship Scheme, we will provide 10,000 fellowships for technological research in IITs and IISc with enhanced financial support. The second gene bank with 10 lakh germplasm lines will be set up for future food and nutritional security. This will provide conservation support to both public and private sectors for genetic resources. We will start a national geospatial mission to develop foundational geospatial infrastructure and data. Using PM Gati Shakti, this mission will facilitate modernization of land records, urban planning, and design of infrastructure projects. A Gyan Bharatam mission for survey, documentation, and conservation of our manuscript heritage with academic institutions, museums, libraries, and private collectors will be undertaken to cover more than 1 crore manuscripts. We will set up a national digital repository of Indian knowledge systems for knowledge sharing. Now I move to exports as the fourth engine. We will set up an export promotion mission with sectoral and ministerial targets driven jointly by the Ministries of Commerce, MSME, and Finance. It will facilitate easy access to export credit, cross-border factoring support, support to MSMEs to tackle non-tariff measures in overseas markets. A digital public infrastructure, Bharat Trade Net, for international trade will be set up as a unified platform for trade documentation and financing solutions. This will complement the Unified Logistics Interface platform. The BTN will be aligned with international practices. Support will be provided to develop domestic manufacturing capacities for our economy's integration with global supply chains. Sectors will be identified based on objective criteria. Facilitation groups with participation of senior officers and industry representatives will be formed for select products and supply chains. Through this, there are huge opportunities related to Industry 4.0, which needs high skills and talent. Our youth have both. Our government will support the domestic electronic equipment industry to leverage this opportunity for the benefit of our youth. A national framework will be formulated as guidance to states for promoting global capability centers in emerging Tier 2 cities. This will suggest measures for enhancing availability of talent and infrastructure, building bylaw reforms, and mechanisms for collaboration with industry. Our government will facilitate upgradation of infrastructure and warehousing for air cargo, including high-value perishable horticultural produce. Cargo screening and customs protocol will be streamlined and made user-friendly. Reforms as the fuel. Over the past 10 years, our government has implemented several reforms for convenience of taxpayers, such as faceless assessment, 2, taxpayer charter, 3, faster returns, 4, almost 99% returns being on self-assessment, and 5, Vivad Se Vishwas scheme. Continuing these efforts, I reaffirm the commitment of the Tax Department to trust first, scrutinize later. I also propose to introduce the new income tax bill next week. I will detail the indirect tax reforms and changes in direct taxes in Part B. Financial sector reforms. The FDI limit for the insurance sector will be raised from 74 to 100%. This enhanced limit will be available for those companies which invest the entire premium in India. The current guardrails and conditionalities associated with foreign investment will be reviewed and simplified. The services of India Post Payment Bank will be deepened and expanded in rural areas. NABFID will set up a partial credit enhancement facility for corporate bonds for infrastructure. Public sector banks will develop Grameen Credit Score Framework to serve the credit needs of SHG members and people in rural areas. A forum for regulatory coordination and development of pension products will be set up. To implement the earlier announcement on simplifying the KYC processes, the revamped Central KYC Registry will be rolled out in 2025. We will also implement a streamlined system for periodic updating. Requirements and procedures for speedy approval of company mergers will be rationalized. The scope for fast-track mergers will also be widened and the process made simpler. As proposed in the interim budget, we signed bilateral investment treaties with 2 countries in 2024 to encourage sustained foreign investment, and in the spirit of First Develop India, the current model BIT will be revamped and made more investor-friendly. In the last 10 years, in several aspects, including financial and non-financial, our government has demonstrated a steadfast commitment to ease of doing business. We are determined to ensure that our regulations must keep up with technological innovations and global policy developments. A light touch regulatory framework based on principles and trust will unleash productivity and employment. Through this framework, we will update regulations that were made under old laws. To develop this modern, flexible, people-friendly and trust-based regulatory framework appropriate for the 21st century, I propose 4 specific measures. A high-level committee for regulatory reforms will be set up for a review of all non-financial sector regulations, certifications, licenses, and permissions. The committee will be expected to make recommendations within a year. The objective is to strengthen trust-based economic governance and take transformational measures to enhance ease of doing business, especially in matters of inspection and compliances. States will be encouraged to join in this endeavor. An investment friendliness index of states will be launched in 2025 to further the spirit of competitive, cooperative federalism. Under the Financial Stability and Development Council, a mechanism will be set up to evaluate impact of the current financial regulations and subsidiary instructions. It will also formulate a framework to enhance their responsiveness and development of the financial sector. In the Jan Vishwas Act 2023, more than 180 legal provisions were decriminalized. Our government will now bring up the Jan Vishwas Bill 2.0 to decriminalize more than 100 provisions in various laws. I now move to fiscal policy. In the July budget, I had committed to staying the course for fiscal consolidation. Our endeavor will be to keep the fiscal deficit each year such that central government debt remains on a declining path as a percentage of the GDP. The roadmap for the next 6 years has been detailed in the FRBM statement. Revised estimates for 2024-25. The revised estimate of the total receipts other than borrowings is 31.47 lakh crore rupees, of which the net tax receipts are 25.57 lakh crore rupees. The revised estimate of the total expenditure is 47.16 lakh crore rupees, of which the capital expenditure is about 10.18 lakh crore rupees. The revised estimate of the fiscal deficit is 4.8% of the GDP. Budget estimates for 25-26. Coming to 25-26, the total receipts other than borrowings and total expenditure are estimated at 34.96 lakh crore rupees and 50.65 lakh crore rupees respectively. The net tax receipts are estimated at 28.37 lakh crore rupees. The fiscal deficit is estimated to be 4.4% of GDP. To finance the fiscal deficit, the net market borrowings from dated securities are estimated at 11.54 lakh crore. The balance financing is expected to come from small savings and other sources. The gross market borrowings are estimated at 14.82 lakh crore rupees.